Karen and I started Electrify now about 5 years ago, and the whole point of it was to help kind of spread the good news really about all the amazing options we have as homeowners particularly, but energy consumers in general, to participate in this big transformation that's happening of our energy systems and all this work that's going on to help to create a better future really through, to some degree, the way we spend our money. So a lot of what we're talking about today is how we use our own spending, which we're going to do anyway for energy or other things. I wonder if it's really possible. Is it possible to darken the room a little bit? Do you think? It might be easier to see this.
It's fine if we take 1 or 2 lights down. Let's try it.
Yeah, that'd be great. But so the kind of base story is we spend so much more energy anyway, we might as well be spending it on the right things. And so a lot of what we're talking about today is exactly that, spending our money on the right things. Is there a clicker, or should I?
It's not working, so
Okay.
I will drive for
Right.
you.
Okay, you could go to, so basically what we're talking about today is financial incentives, but in the background it's all about how we make our homes more comfortable, healthier and safer, lower our carbon emissions, which is a big motivator for a lot of people, and also lower our energy bills. So there's lots of good things that come along for the ride when we focus on carbon emissions, but electrification has tons of benefits beyond just energy reduction and lower energy bills and lower carbon emissions. There's a lot of things about just making our homes work better that you'll be hearing about all day today. Next slide, please. So really the thing that makes this happen is this a new generation of really super efficient electric appliances. They're way different. You can click to the next slide. They're different than the things we grew up with, and a lot of us just aren't familiar with these things. It's not so much that they're all new. Some of them are, but many of them have been around for a long time. And they're just not familiar to us, but they massively outperform the devices that we grew up with. They provide new benefits that you'll be hearing about, but a big part of it is about using less energy, which therefore reduces our carbon emissions and has the great benefit of reducing our energy bills. And it also is adding value to our home. So I think as homeowners, all these things we're talking about, you should feel comfortable. You know, they're making your home more resilient, safer, more healthy, and it's going to be more attractive if you ever were to sell your home. Next slide, please. So this is collectively called electrification, and this can be a little awkward with the builds, but you can just click for a while here. Let's get all these up here. The technologies that make this possible, that's good right there, are these things generally. And you're going to be hearing more about these all day today. Heat pump water heaters, there's great people here who install these. Heat pumps for space heating, induction, cooking. I saw that there's a little demo out there for that. Electric fireplace inserts, there's a place here talking about that today. Those things are amazing. Heat pump dryers are kind of one of the new kids on the block in this arsenal of products. And of course, electric vehicles. These are the things that make it possible, and they all work better than the things that they replace. That's the thing that's exciting about this. There's no compromises with these devices. They're all better than the things that we are familiar with. Next slide. So today what we're going to be talking about is these combined incentives that add up to really big savings, and I'll go through this, but just to start off with, for a heat pump water heater, you could get up to $3,050 in terms of incentives. Next, the heat pump, $3,600. Next, with induction, and the next slide, heat pump dryers. Currently, there's no incentives available, but there will be for income qualified homeowners and renters, with probably starting in 2024. EVs, $7,500, and then there's those are the kind of product parts of it. And then down here, there's things that you might want to consider as part of your electrification work. You can get an energy audit, you can get a tax break for that. You may need some weatherization on your home, another $4,000. If you need some wiring or panel upgrade, there's money for that. And then for rooftop solar, which is a fantastic solution, particularly if you're going to be in your home for a while, over almost $5,600, and then battery storage $15,000. So altogether, it's like close to $40,000 worth of incentives that are available to help sort of make this less painful. Because it's true that these things are new products that we have to purchase. I like to remind people a lot of times though that, you know, water heaters break, they wear out. So when it's time to replace a new one, make sure you do the right thing. Gas furnaces have a limited life, so replace them with the right thing, etc. A lot of this is about replacing the things that we own when it's time to do that, or faster if you're excited about doing it. Okay, so next slide, please. So basically, what we're talking about today is lowering the cost, and there's sort of 4 things that make that possible. One is local discounts, which we'll talk about. The second are state or federal rebates, and then there's federal tax credits. And then finally, it's not really about lowering the cost, but maybe just about making it less painful and spreading it out. There's financing options that are important to know about. We'll talk about all of these things. So, next slide, please. With local discounts, there's 2 groups in the Portland area that helped provide some discounts for services that you should be aware of. Electrify Now, which is our group, and then Electrify PDX, which is also here today, I believe. Both of these groups we work with local contractors, many of whom are here, and because we send them a lot of business, because we recommend them, because we know they're good, we know they know what they're doing, they provide good services, and they're excited about electrification, so we like people working with them, rather than someone who's going to say, well, if it was my house, I wouldn't do that. We don't want to send you to somebody like that. So because we send these people good business, they provide discounts. So next slide. For example, if you go to our website, electrifynow.net, and you click on this Take Action Resources button, this will come up. And so this gives you information about how to do all these things that are an important part of electrification. But with these 4 things, rooftop solar, install a heat pump, install a water heater, or get an electric fireplace insert, there's discounts available from the people that we work with that are significant. They're 5 to 10% of the cost that you're going to incur. You can save hundreds of dollars. You just have to remember to mention Electrify Now when you're talking to them, or in some cases there's discount codes. All that information is on the website, but it can save you quite a bit of money. Next slide. And Electrify PDX has a similar thing where if you go to their contractors page and you can sort by different whatever it is you're looking for, but many of the vendors they work with, A&R Solar, who are here today, for example, will pass on a discount when you mention Electrify PDX. So this is like the first part of like the discounts that are available. Next slide, please. Then the next chunk are rebates, and there's state rebates that are run through Energy Trust of Oregon. And then next slide, there will be federal rebates starting in 2024. We don't really have the details about this yet, so I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but it's important to know that, because a lot of people go, oh, the rebates are coming, but then it's important to know that if you are 150% of area median income, and there's information on the HUD website about what that is, so you can figure that out for yourself, but you would qualify for 50% of the rebates. You have to be 80% of area median income in order to get all of them. So I guess I just want to let people know, because some people, if you're not income qualified, it's not worth getting excited about the rebates. They're not going to be available to you. But if you are, you might want to wait, because there's significant amounts of money available there. I'm not going to talk about it again, because since the details aren't really out, it feels premature. So we're going to talk about what is available over here. Next slide, please. If you go to the Energy Trust of Oregon website, you will see that under residential incentives, they have all these options you can look at. But basically, I've summarized what's available here. You can get basically $900 off a heat pump water heater, $650 off a heat pump. It could be more depending on your income level. There's a lot of incentives for insulation, and this is harder to put a number to because it comes down to square feet of wall and attic space, but it's significant, add up to thousands of dollars. $400 for rooftop solar, $3,000 for battery storage, and you can get really good prices on smart thermostats too. We'll talk about this, but you don't need to. The good contractors are aware of these rebates and will sort of take care of it for you. But I think it's just good to know that money is out there. Next slide, please. And I'll go through some examples at the end to make this a little easier to understand. But then the third bucket are these federal tax credits. And if you're not familiar, I would highly recommend you Google Rewiring America IRA calculator. And there's some information up here that'll help with too if you want to take it afterwards. But this app will come up where you put in your zip code and your household status and income levels, and it'll tell you what's available to you. But this is a summary of the tax credit dollars that are available, and it's significant. 30% of your battery storage costs, 30% of geothermal. That's kind of not that many people do that, but 7,500 on an electric vehicle we've talked about. 30% on rooftop solar, used vehicle 4,000, heat pump 2,000, heat pump water heater 2,000, and weatherization 1,200, and electric panel 600. So all these dollars are available as tax credits, which means that they basically just take money off of your tax bill. There are some things to know about the complications of this, the details of this. Next slide. I have a handout up here if you want to take a look at it. I'll just tell you about all these up here. There's one here about the IRA tax credits. I'm going to go over some of this in a minute. There's a thing on ETO incentives, and there's a thing here about working with your contractor. But some of the key things to know about the tax incentives are they're yearly caps for each device, like we just mentioned, but there's also, they group them so you can't do everything all at once, basically. So that means, like, for example, for the category of products or services they consider the energy audit, electrical upgrade, doors and windows installation, the total amount you can deduct from your taxes in any 1 year is $1,200. And for this second group, heat pumps, heat pump water heaters, it's $2,000. So basically what that means is that if you installed a heat pump and a heat pump water heater in the same year, you wouldn't be able to maximize the credits. So the takeaway from that is that you should think about staging some of these things if you're interested in these things, or if you want to do more than one. It's good to spread them out in order to maximize the tax credits that are available. There's no cap for solar and battery storage. It's 30% of the total cost, which is huge. And these things aren't just like available 1 year or something. They're available every year. There's no, I don't know that they put an end date, or if they have, it's way out there. So it's not something you need to worry about like going away, but it's also something that if you are smart about it, you can really maximize the benefits. Next slide, please. The other thing to know is that, there are qualifying criteria for all these products. And again, a good contractor is going to know this, but it's important to ask them to make sure, like for example, I think it's trickiest with heat pumps. With most other things, it's like if they're Energy Star approved, which you can see it'll just be on the label, it's going to qualify. But for heat pumps, it's a little tricky. They have to meet a certain performance standards. And that's a good thing, because what that means is you're going to get a really good product that's really super efficient. It's going to provide all the heating and cooling that you need. But it would be pretty disappointing to get a product that doesn't quite qualify and not be able to get that $2,000 tax credit. So again, I think the contractors are really smart about this, and all the ones that we recommend are super up to speed on this. But it's an important question to ask your contractor. Is this product that you're installing in my home going to qualify for a tax credit? And if they can't tell you with certainty and show you something that sort of demonstrates that, I'd be a little nervous. Okay, so I think next slide.
Hey Brian, who are you showing for the final word on heat pump specifically?
Sorry?
Who are you showing for the final word? Is it DOE?
Oh,
is
it's
it Energy Star? The list goes on and on.
Yeah, it's a CEE rating.
Perfect.
They're the ones who do the rating. There's a very specific rating, and this map here explains it. But in the north part of the U.S., it's a different rating than the south, so it's a little bit complicated. But again, the contractors are.
I've been swimming in it all week, so
yeah, it's
trying to make sure that we're getting correct information to the installers.
Yes.
So I work on supply side, so I supply the material.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and it's. I'm glad you're doing that, because the installers some of them can be a little confused about this too. So
that's scary stuff. I mean, we want to make sure that the homeowners are well informed, that we're well informed, the installer is, and that we're guaranteeing as best we can that you're going to get that full $2,000 if that's what that is.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because the ratings are all changing this year too.
Yeah.
So you could make it more complicated.
I know. It'd be tricky. And again, I think this is a good reason. It's another reason to work with the contractors we recommend because they're people who like, most of their business is heat pumps. And that's not true for all HVAC installers. You know, a lot of them, you know, grew up installing gas furnaces and they're quite happy to just keep doing that. So it's the people who are really progressive on heat pumps that you want to be working with because they're the ones who are going to be the deepest in this whole kind of area. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so let's do some examples. Like for a heat pump water heater, for example, you know, the local discount could be $150 or more. The state rebate is $900, and the federal tax credit is 30% of the cost up to $2,000. So that's why, you know, its maximum would be $3,500 or so. In order to make this simple, I just sort of given, you know, like this is how you do it. If you go to the Electrify Now Take Action page and click on that heat pump water heater thing, you're going to get tons of information about heat pump water heaters, what they're good, where you can install them, all that sort of stuff. Question?
What is the range of prices of heat pump water heaters? Are we talking $8,000, $4,000?
Good question. Okay, so they list for about, I think a 50-gallon list for about $1,700 or so. And with this $900 rebate right off the bat, you're getting down at $865, isn't that correct? That's the latest number. And that's an amazingly good price. There's also discounts of $900 on the larger units that cost more, the 80-gallon tanks, etc. But for most people, 50-gallon tanks are going to work. So you're talking about $865 for the unit. There can be costs associated with installing it, particularly if you've got a gas furnace, a gas water heater, because you know you need to run an electric line or whatever. So that can be a couple $1,000s sometimes for the installation costs. So that's why this 30% of the cost is really important. If you've got an electric water heater now, it's a really easy swap. And so the installation is going to be really cheap. But if you've got a gas water heater, it could be a couple $1,000s. So this is why this federal tax credit is so important. But yeah, so go to Electrify Now, take action. You'll find that if you're a DIY source, we can tell you how you can order it straight from General Pacific and get the discount. They'll send it to your home. But most people aren't going to do that. Most people want somebody to install it for you. We are big fans of Great Northwest Installations. They're going to be here. They're here today out there if you want to go talk to them. They've installed more heat pump water heaters than anybody in the Pacific Northwest. So they are on it and know all the ins and outs. They mentioned Electrify Now. They'll give you that discount. They're going to handle the rebate, so you don't need to worry about that. And then at the end, you'll get the total bill, and you claim 30% of that off of your federal taxes. So it's pretty much that simple.
If you already have a heat pump, can you qualify for another rebate?
Yes, absolutely. It's really just about the purchase of equipment and the purchase costs and the installation costs of new equipment. And there's some stipulations, you know, like at second homes, there's some details on that. A lot of the information is on here, but in general, yes, you can do that, even if you've got one. So pretty straightforward. Any questions about that maybe before I go?
On the water heater,
Yeah.
crazy question and shows my ignorance, I'm sure. But we have an on-demand system that's gas right now.
Yep.
I'm sure they do electric on demand.
They do, but they're not a great option.
Okay.
They're expensive to operate, and they take a lot of power. They take a lot of
Okay.
of your
Because ours
electric
doesn't
power.
take that much on our gas.
Yeah, so I think that what you find is that you would still save a ton of money with a heat pump water heater. Cut your water heating costs in half if you go to a heat
One
pump.
thing is the space,
Yeah,
because we like to have this extra space. much
Yeah.
smaller.
yeah, that's true. These will take up the space of the normal tank. Yes, true. Any other questions on heat pump water heaters? Okay, let's talk about heat pumps. Next slide. So here, you know, the local discounts, because it's in that, it ranges from contractor to contractor, but it can add up to $1,000. You know, easily $500 to $1,000 just with this discount that we've arranged through our relationships with these different contractors. Of course, it depends on the size of your job, etc. There's a state rebate for $650, and then this federal tax credit of $2,500. So here you can do the same thing. Go to Electrify Now, take action. Click on the install a heat pump page. I highly advise you download this questions to ask your HVAC contractor. This is a handout here. You can take this if you want. Which I guess it's only the first page. It's actually 2 pages, but You can get it online too. And it's going to make sure that if you read that document and ask those questions to your contractor, you're going to make sure you're getting the right product. And it'll help you, I think, understand the process. I advise you to make an appointment with 3 contractors, at least 2, because you want to get different points of view about what's right for your house. And you'll get there are different products that are available from the different contractors, and some of them might work better with your home than others, although it's all good stuff. Mention Electrify now to get that discount. They're going to handle the ETO rebate. So again, I think for those ETO rebates in general, you don't need to concentrate yourself on that too much. Ask them to make sure you're getting it. Make sure on your bill you can see that as a line item, but they will take care of getting that. And then of course at the end you're going to claim the tax credit for 30% of the cost up to $2,000 limit. Next slide please. Electric vehicles, no local discount. The state rebate's gone away unfortunately. I'm hoping it's going to come back next year. We'll see. Depends on if the legislature votes to do that. But it was $2,500, so it was pretty significant. But there still is this federal tax credit for $7,500. There's some complexities to that, which we'll talk about in a minute. But an easy way to do this is, again, if you go to our Take Action page and click on EV, buy an EV. We're really excited about this. There's a website called EV Life, and this is an example of what it looks like, where you can browse all the available EVs. They have all the cost and all the incentive information is on there and everything, so it makes it really easy to kind of like compare models, etc. And then once you purchase it, you're going to be able to claim that tax credit for the amount that's available for that model, and it varies. It's all over the place. It can be $500, it can be $0 on some cards. It can be $500, it can be $7,500. It really depends. I can tell you that all the manufacturers are scrambling to make sure that they're going to qualify for the whole amount, but currently it's a mixed bag, which is why this EV Life is a really good way to just kind of get an idea of what's available. Next slide, please. I want to mention while we're on EVs here, if you could just click, please. That a lot of people have this perception of EVs being expensive, but I've been doing this comparison with a Kona because it's one of the easiest ways to see an apples-to-apples comparison. They make 2 versions of the exact same car. One's gas and one's electric. From the outside, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Even sitting inside, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Since I've been doing this, the gas version price has gone from about $20,000, $22,000 to up to $30,000 now, and the EV price, which was closer to $40,000, is now down to $33,000. So you can see they're pretty close in initial cost. But once you take the federal tax credit off, now it's actually almost $5,000 cheaper. And then check this out: the 5-year fuel costs. Look at this comparison: $8,000 to operate the Kona, the gas version, $1,700 worth of electricity, and maintenance is there's almost no maintenance. $2,000 is what AAA says you would expect over 5 years for a gas car. $880 for the EV, and that's mostly windshield wipers and a new set of tires is what that is. So look at the total 5-year cost. You're saving almost $13,000 with the EV. And so, I'm not doing this to sell the Kona. This is about just the best way to see the real comparison between cars, because when you look at one in the lot, what are you going to compare it to, right? It's hard to know. But that's why this is such a good way of looking at it. Question?
There's an additional $5,000 from the state means tested
Yes.
for my EVs, and I fully expect those to be refunded by March.
Yeah, I hope so. That would be great. What's your name? Sorry, you sound very confident about that. I like that.
It's just the way I
I always sound like that.
Thank you. I was going to take your name down, so I was going to say Nick says. Okay, next slide, please. I think we're wrapping up. Just for financing, a lot of HVAC contractors offer financing. It's important to poke through the details on this. There's some things like 0% interest on an 18-month payback, which can be great if you're prepared to do that. Just know that you don't want to miss a payment, because if you miss a payment, you're going to get outrageous fees associated with that. But that can be a good way to, spread the costs out for a little bit. Otherwise, you're looking at usually more like a 7% payback for 5 years. Kraft is a great product. They offer lower interest rates, and they're really specifically designed for home energy upgrades. They up to a 15-year payback at a little less than 7%, compared to a home equity loan, which was be a few points higher than that. And then one of the other interesting things to know about is it's possible to do on-bill financing. Again, it's a loan through Kraft, PG&E and Pacific Power both offer that. And your energy savings is kind of offsetting your costs a little bit, so that's great. Okay, so I think we're close to the end here. You know, just you can fast forward through these, but basically, if you're interested in doing this, I recommend you get an energy audit. You might need to do some weatherization. You can save a lot of money in electrical if you combine jobs, and then make sure you check out this information about questions to ask your HVAC contractor. I think
So
that's it. Thank you. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Brian. Brian is one of the most knowledgeable people in the state. So if you have questions, we might ask, would you be available?
Yeah,
for a few
absolutely.
minutes?
And you can always email me too. My email is on the website, and I'm happy to answer it.